Confidence Show, a podcast for female entrepreneurs with big dreams who want to create deep-rooted self-confidence and run their business on their own terms. I'm your host, confidence coach Rebecca Hawkes, and I believe you have what it takes to create the success you dream of. Hello. We are back with episode 2 of The Confidence Show. I've just got back from Stratford-upon-Avon actually. Now, I don't know when this episode actually going to launch, but I am back to recording. It's the first week of January and I have already been on my first trip of the year, which is incredible. So I got back from Stratford-upon-Avon yesterday. Now I'd gone to spend some time visiting my friends, which was wonderful. They've just bought a new bungalow and it's beautiful. It's like a new build kind of plot. It is lovely. It's completely detached. They've got a wonderful garden. It's just a really, really nice place. Not that I'm jealous. And they've also got a beautiful new puppy called Bray. And I spent so much time sat on the floor and cuddled up with him, and we took him for walks. And oh my God, honestly, apart from my dog, obviously, he is the cutest dog I've ever seen. And I actually miss him, which I never thought was possible. I didn't think that you could fall in love with somebody else's animal, but I have. He was just beautiful. He's a cockapoo and he's 15 weeks and he's lively AF. Likes to bite, which is great. But no, he's just beautiful, and it was so lovely to catch up with them. They are expecting a baby in June, so very exciting times for them. So yeah, I went up on Monday, got the train from London, went to theirs. We had, we didn't even have a Chinese. We had Indian for dinner. We watched series 2 of You, like the last 3 episodes, I think, of series 2. I'd already seen it, but watching it with somebody else that didn't know what was going to happen was so good because they didn't get what was going to happen at the end and their reaction was amazing. So we did that, and then the next day, went for a walk, and then I went into town. I went and stayed in Stratford-upon-Avon in a lovely hotel. It's called the Townhouse. So if you do end up going to Stratford-upon-Avon, I would highly recommend it. The Townhouse, it was probably a 10-minute walk from the train station, and the room was lovely. It was just, I think it was on the website as like a small double, but it had a desk, it had like a window seat, a lovely bathroom, massive wardrobe with a beautiful mirror, one of those old-fashioned wardrobes that are on like feet, I guess. Kind of like Beauty and the Beast, but not white. Yeah, amazing. And then I had dinner there, did some work, and I really wanted to spend some time just in a different area. It's been a long time since I have left the UK, which is highly unlike me. I am someone that travels often, that travels solo. Any excuse to go away, I will go. I will go just for the sake of it. So yeah, it's been a while since I've gone, and I really wanted to have a couple of days away from home where I could get some work done, be on my own, feel inspired again. Because I don't know about you, there are times where I lose a little bit of motivation and inspiration. Working from home can be really hard sometimes. And we're currently at my mum's at the moment because, well, we don't need to talk about that. But there's big events happened in my life. So I thought I was going to be in a different country. That didn't happen. I'm back at my mum's again. So fine, whatever. But we're currently turning my brother's room into an office, and whilst we wait to decorate that room, I'm in the kitchen, which is lovely because we've got a huge kitchen and it kind of looks out onto the garden where there's lots of birds. I've become a massive fan of bird watching. So yeah, but it can be hard sometimes working from home, can't it? Because you get stuck and you're always in the same place, and sometimes you just lose that inspiration. You forget to feel inspired in your normal place. So I went away and I had such a lovely time, and I am so pleased to have gone there. So quick shout out to Matt and Justine, because whilst I was there, they told me that they listen to everything I do, which is incredibly cringy. I always hate like real life friends knowing what I get up to. I don't know why, it's just awkward, isn't it? Because nobody understands what I do. So they both said they don't actually have a clue what I'm doing, but they do follow me, they listen to everything that I talk about, they watch my videos. So hi guys! Anyways, let's get on to today's episode. As I mentioned in the first episode, waffling is a skill that I am very good at. So we are almost 5 minutes into this and I've not even got started yet. Never mind. Today we're going to talk about what confidence actually is, what it means to different people, and how you can start to create more of it in your own life. Now, before we dive in, I want to share with you that I wasn't always this confident. I had this belief when I was younger that you either had confidence or you didn't. I didn't understand that confidence was something that you could create. I thought you were born with it. So you had these people that were just born with it, like at school, they were just always these confident people, and I was never one of them. I always felt like I wasn't one of them. So I suppose, for years I just told myself that it wasn't available to me. And then as I got older, I have had anxiety since my teens, but as I got older, that anxiety got so much worse, to the point where I couldn't leave the house other than to just drive the 10 minutes down the road to work. I didn't go out on the weekends, I didn't socialise, I didn't see anyone, I didn't do anything because I had such bad anxiety and a phobia of people being sick. But that meant that I lost all my confidence. So if somebody had spoken to me in a shop, like if I'd gone to Tesco's and somebody had said hello to me, I felt like I would have a panic attack, or I felt like I was about to have a panic attack, because I was just so self-conscious and had no confidence that I couldn't even speak to people. So completely the opposite to where I am. And when I told my dad a couple of years ago, when I was moving, I started out as a social media manager. And when I told him that I was actually changing my business and I was going from social media management into coaching and I was going to become a confidence coach, he laughed, actually laughed out loud. He was like, you, confident? As in complete shock, why on earth would you be able to help people with confidence? But also at this point, we hadn't seen each other that much for a couple of years, so it's not like he'd seen me evolve completely to the point where I was at. So I'm not saying that to be a dick about him or whatever, but just sharing my past history with confidence. So then when I realised that actually confidence is something that you can create, I started to create my own. Now, I think it's important to recognise that you can be really confident in some areas and not confident in other areas, but that doesn't mean that you're not a confident person. So I am very self-confident now, I think there's a big difference between being confident and arrogant, and that's sometimes a fine line. But I'm very self-confident in a lot of areas, apart from public speaking, which is a bit of a pain in the ass when I go to speaking, when I go to networking events, because I have to stand up and go, I'm a confidence coach, when I'm going red, sweating and feeling really anxious. But because I'm not confident in public speaking, that doesn't mean that I'm not a confident person. That's just an area that needs working on. Okay, so I think you can be confident and have areas where you don't feel that confident. I think it's really important to talk about that, because not a lot of people talk about that. I think there's this misconception that you have to be confident with everything that you're doing in life in order to be a confident person, and I think that's bollocks personally. But there we go. So now I'm at a completely different point where I am self-confident. I've done a lot of work on confidence. I've read a lot about it. I've done the mindset activities. I've created it myself. I've taken action when I've been scared. I went from being too afraid to leave the house to travelling solo at 21 was when I first went away, booked a flight around the world at 21 solo, and I've lived abroad since then, started my own business, and I've completely changed my way of life. So if you're sat there saying, oh, well, I can't be confident, or I don't have any confidence, or I'm not a confident person and confidence isn't available to me, I'm going to tell you that that's rubbish. Because I'm proof. I'm not sitting here preaching to you as somebody that has always been this confident person. I'm preaching to you because I was the person that couldn't say boo to a goose, that couldn't have a conversation with anyone, that couldn't go to Tesco's without her mum being next to her when she was 20 years of age. Okay? So before I recorded this episode, I put out a survey to the guys in my mastermind group and on my Instagram stories to get other people's feedback on what being confident means to them. Because I think it's really important to know that everybody's definition of being confident is different. So whilst my definition of being confident might be one thing, yours might be completely different, and that's okay. So when I talk about increasing your confidence, we want you to increase your confidence to the point where you feel confident in yourself based on your definition of confidence, not based on what other people tell you you should feel like when you're confident. Okay, so I'm going to share some of the responses that I have received from people about what confidence means to them. So not doubting myself and my abilities, doing something and not caring what other people may think. Confidence means doing something you're not scared of, just grabbing it and doing it without thinking. It's an aura and a feeling of knowing that you can do anything when you put your mind to it, whether that's body, mind, business, etc. Being confident to me is knowing exactly what I want, saying no to what I don't want, having faith in my vision, not trying to hide in the shadows, not melting away in group settings. Feeling empowered and secure about the way I feel about myself. It means doing things that I want or need to do without being held back by fear, limiting beliefs, doubts, etc. It doesn't mean I don't have those things going on, but I choose not to let these things stop me. Feeling clear and sure of myself, even when others don't agree with my point of view. Confidence to me is doing something even though you might be nervous or have fear around it. Dr. Russ Harris says the actions of confidence come before the feelings of confidence in his book, The Confidence Gap. I've experienced this numerous times. When I commit to saying something and take action, others tend to view me as confident and courageous often, even though I don't usually feel confident at the time. For me, my feelings of confidence really only come from hindsight and looking back on my achievements with perspective. I'm trying to embrace my wins more in real time, remembering to pause for applause. Oh, I love that. Remembering to pause for applause, but it doesn't come naturally to me. Confidence means strength or power, able to conquer anything. Confidence to me is knowing what you are talking about and getting things done with integrity. Confidence radiates without overwhelming or intimidating. Confidence can be so subjective and so triggering when witnessing others and perceived wrongly. Confidence means knowing your worth. A deep knowing that you are speaking your truth. Certainty from within and not from external sources, being sure of yourself. Strength and serenity. Feel self-assured and not having self-doubt. Having ultimate belief that I know what I'm doing and have the experience and expertise to back it up. And lastly, having an unwavering knowledge that I can handle X, Y, or Z. So that's what confidence means to those 14 other people. So I don't know if you guys can relate to any of what I just said. There were some fantastic answers there. And again, it's really important to know that just because other people view confidence in a certain way doesn't mean you have to. So confidence to me is about trusting in yourself. So it's about believing in yourself, saying yes to the things that scare you, being brave, not worrying about what people think. And I want you to notice how I said not worrying instead of not caring. Like, I think it's still important to care what people think sometimes. But from a confidence perspective, it's okay to care what people think, but it's just important not to worry about those opinions. Also, confidence means to me listening to your gut instinct and intuition over other people's opinions. So again, having that real trust within yourself that you are making the right decisions, that you are on the right path. And still loving yourself when the shit hits the fan. This is really important because I think a lot of the times we can feel really confident, but then something bad happens and instantly we lose it. And this is something that I've also had to work on recently because a few months ago, completely out of the blue, unexpected by me, my 5-year relationship ended. And I feel like I did lose a lot of confidence that I have worked so hard to create because it happened and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, is it me? I think because I didn't get given a reason as such to why the relationship was ending. I didn't know why it was happening. He couldn't tell me why he needed to make that decision. Because of that, I was trying to figure out what the answer was. And a lot of the time I was criticising myself and I was saying it must have been my fault, when in actual fact it's not about me. He made his decision for his reasons and that had nothing to do with me and who I am as a person. So I think it's important when events like that happen that although you might lose some of the confidence, you still have that inner knowing of, do you know what, it's going to be okay. And I did have that. I felt like I'd lost quite a bit of confidence, but then at the same time I had this inner voice, I call it like deep-rooted self-confidence of, I know that this is okay. I know that I'm going to be okay. I still love myself, essentially. Even though I didn't know what was going to happen and I didn't want it to happen and there was this big old process of trying to come to terms with it, I still had this knowing in myself that I was going to be okay. And that to me is something that I would relate to confidence and having self-confidence. I just touched on it, like deep-rooted self-confidence, because there's a difference, in my opinion, between the surface level confidence and the deep-rooted self-confidence. So the surface level confidence, we're going to cover this in a whole episode, but just to try and explain, the surface level confidence would be showing up on live videos, showing up feeling good, dressing how you want, feeling good about yourself, the more top level stuff. Whereas the deep rooted self-confidence would be a client has stopped paying me or disappeared off the face of the earth, but that's okay. I know that's fine. I know that I'm on this path. I know it's not about me. Instead of, if you didn't have that deep-rooted self-confidence, you might all of a sudden think, oh my God, what have I done? Why am I not good enough? Did they not like what I was doing? Are they going to tell everyone about me? That kind of stuff. So it's just more of that like real inner knowing that when things do go horrifically wrong, you don't all of a sudden freak out and become this complete, I want to say mess, but I don't think I want to say mess. But yeah, just that steady level of, okay, the worst has happened, but I'm going to be okay. So I hope that kind of explains a few different ways that you can view confidence. I would obviously love to know your way. And it's clear to see that we all have our own definition of confidence. Now, we all have this similar goal though, and that is to get ourselves to the level that makes us feel good. So whatever your definition is, you need to work on getting yourself to that point. So forget anyone else's definition, work on getting yourself to that level of confidence. Now, one of my favourite ways to do this is visualisation. So I think I briefly touched on this in the last episode, but for me, visualising is so powerful. So I tend to visualise mostly in the mornings when I first wake up. I like to lay in bed, lay in silence, and just I tend to picture my perfect day, but from a confidence perspective, I would picture myself as this person who is self-assured, who knows she makes the right decisions, who has this kind of air of confidence around her. So, you know, some people give off this vibe of being really confident, but in a nice way. So this vibe of being welcoming and open and authentic and somebody that people can trust, and me trusting myself. So when I visualise confidence, for me, I see it more of like this kind of glow, like a glowing light around me. I don't know if anyone else does that. I don't know if this is going to get a bit too woo for some people, but that's fine. I see it as this kind of almost like a white glowing light around me. I see myself as that person who is just calm and makes decisions easily and doesn't worry about what people are going to say or worry about being judged, but shows up knowing that whatever she is doing is going to help people and is going to support people, and that she always shows up as that best self. So although there might be times where I'm scared or where I'm uncertain or anxious or worried, like putting this podcast was a massive deal for me, putting it out there, because obviously you're going to get feedback. Obviously not everyone's going to like it. There might be people that don't listen to it at all. Well, there's obviously going to be people that don't listen to it at all. And that's fine, but it's still doing those things because you have that inner desire and that inner knowing that this is something that you should be doing. So although you're doing things that scare you, it's trusting yourself enough that that's the right path that you're supposed to be on, and moving forward through that fear instead of letting that fear hold you back. That's another kind of part of confidence to me. So that's what else I like to visualise. So if I'm gonna, let me try and think of another example. 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 2 years? I don't know. 2018, whatever that was. December 2018. I was part of a collaborative book where we all shared our stories in this book. So we shared a chapter each. There was a group of us and we shared our stories. And I obviously talked a lot about confidence and my story through confidence and different experiences that I'd had. And we did a book launch in London. And at that book launch, we had to stand up and share part of our chapter. So get up in front of people and talk about our story and share our chapter. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, public speaking is not my thing at all. It terrifies me because I am the person that will go bright red. I sweat quite easily anyway. I just get really embarrassed. And at this point, I was also in heels. I had a nice dress on. I'd drunk quite a lot of Prosecco by the time we got up and did our speech. But I was leading up to it, like the weeks leading up to the launch, I was really nervous. And instead of panicking about it, I chose to visualise. I visualised myself standing up, I visualised people standing in front of me, I visualised my speech, I went over it in my head, and I didn't just visualise it happening, but I visualised myself feeling confident in that moment. So standing there and looking at people and being able to look around the room and share my story with confidence and not feel scared. And I did this every single day for several weeks leading up to the launch. Every day I would wake up or I would go to bed and I would just sit and I would close my eyes and I would just visualise this happening. And I would essentially make myself feel the feelings of confidence and how I would act when I'd finished my speech, what I would do, those kind of things. And when it came to the speech day, I was confident. I got up there, they called my name. As I said, I had a few glasses of Prosecco, so that obviously helped. But I walked up, I read out my little speech at the beginning, so I'd written a little speech beforehand, and I looked around the room, I read the part of my chapter, and I looked at people, and the topic was very sensitive. So the topic was a big part of my life. It was a topic, it was about abortion, and I spoke about it in this room packed full of people. And so not only was I terrified of public speaking, but I was also talking about a topic that is very sensitive and that I understand can evoke a lot of feelings from people, whether that's feelings for or against. It evokes a lot of emotion. But because I had visualised the speech going well, I had visualised myself feeling good, I had visualised myself being confident, the feedback that I got was incredible, and I felt good afterwards. I was like, do you know what? I did the best I could and I'm really happy. And I didn't have any of those fears of anxiety. So visualization is so important, and I really want you to think about an experience or the person that you want to become and really visualize that person. This is a great exercise as well if you're about to hop on a sales call and you know that you're going to have to pitch to someone. So if you just sit there and you visualize the call going really well, you visualize that really connecting with that person and how you're going to feel at the end of the call, whether it's a yes or a no, that's not what you need to focus on. It's just focusing on how you're going to feel, how you're going to show up, how you want to be. If you visualise before that call, you're already going to go into that call feeling confident and feeling really, really good. So a wonderful exercise to help you increase your confidence. Okay, so what did you think of this episode? Was it helpful to hear other people's definitions of confidence? Does it make you feel like you can create your own definition and start walking towards increasing your confidence? I really hope it was helpful. And as I mentioned last week, I'm going to be setting regular tasks for you to complete to help you increase your confidence. Today, I want you to set aside 5 to 10 minutes to visualise yourself feeling confident. So what are you wearing? How are you standing? How are you feeling? What thoughts go through your head? Really feel into that confident person. Do this every day and you'll start to tap into that confident version of yourself. Now, once you've done this exercise, head over to Instagram and share how it made you feel on your stories and tag me at Rebecca Lucy H. Thanks so much for listening to The Confidence Show with me, Rebecca Hawkes. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to hit subscribe and leave me a review telling me what you thought. Don't forget to connect with me on Instagram, where you'll find daily inspiration and tips to help you reduce your overwhelm, let go of self-doubt and create unbreakable self-confidence. Find me at Rebecca Lucy H and I'll see you in the next episode.